Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside Indiana Overtime. I'm Alex McCarthy here at Assembly Hall where things are not so pretty right now. Indiana's lost 2 games in a row here for the first time in a couple, after a 26-game win streak in this building. Indiana's lost to Nebraska and then Wisconsin tonight in just a 7-day span. That's 3 losses in a row if you throw in the Louisville game the other day. But Wisconsin beats Indiana tonight 75-68. And honestly, after the first 4 minutes, I thought it was going to be even worse than that. Wisconsin hung 13 on Indiana before Indiana even scored a point. Ended up, being up 16-2 to start. Then Indiana went on, I think, a 10-0 run and then kind of got back into it. And really for the rest of the game, it was pretty close up until the last few minutes. Indiana led for, just like a minute and a half this game. But still, there were 5 ties, or 5 lead changes, 5 ties, 8 lead changes. So Indiana was at least competitive for a lot of the game, but then, the last 4 or 5 minutes were pretty similar to the first 5 minutes, where Indiana just could not stop Wisconsin from scoring. There was a 10-2. Indiana took, I think, a 57-56 lead late in the game, and then allowed Wisconsin to go on a 10-2 run that basically, that put Wisconsin comfortably ahead. Then Indiana got it back down to 3, and then Wisconsin kind of had its last little answer to that and put Indiana away. It was really a 10-point game, but Rob Johnson hit a 3 at the buzzer. Not that that's really important, but the 3-point line is really... there are a lot of areas of this game that really did not go Indiana's way, but we'll start at the 3-point line. Wisconsin was 10 for 20 from beyond the arc. Indiana just 5 for 15, and really wasn't even trying that hard to shoot threes late in the game. They were trying to work the ball inside because they thought that there was more there. Indiana outscored Wisconsin in the paint 38-32, but that's it's not a huge advantage, and Wisconsin obviously outscored Indiana from the 3-point line, which is really that's where Indiana has won its big games this year. When it beats Kansas, when it beats North Carolina, when it's in games, when it's winning games, it's because of the 3-point line. Because Indiana, if you remember going into the Butler game, Indiana was the nation's number 1 team in 3-point percentage defense. Opponents only shot 25% from distance until Indiana played Butler. Since then, opponents are shooting 40% against Indiana. And obviously that, Indiana's playing better teams than it was before the Butler game. But still, it's not necessarily it's not necessarily just because they're playing against better shooters. These guys are wide open. In the first few minutes of this game, Bronson Koenig is red hot, and Indiana still loses him on the perimeter, and he hits open shot after open shot. He's 5 for 5 from 3 today, and then Indiana just wasn't able to get shots to go down. James Blackman and Rob Johnson were 4 from 10 combined. Rob Johnson is the coldest that I've ever seen him, in a bad way, from the field. He was obviously 1 for 13 the other day against Louisville, and then he missed his first 4 or 5 shots tonight as well. Indiana just is not getting those shots to fall, and when those shots aren't falling, this isn't really an Indiana defense, and it hasn't been for years, that can really create open shots in the half court. Open, high percentage shots in the half court. And Thomas Bryant just, again, was really overmatched tonight. Ethan Happ was much, much better than him. Happ was 8 for 11 from the floor, 19 points. Team high 6 rebounds, team high 4 assists. He did absolutely everything for Indiana. And, I asked Juwan Morgan after the game why, what was the key to Ethan Happ's success? And Morgan said that basically we knew what he was going to throw at us, we just couldn't stop him. And that's really where Indiana is defensively right now. They know what's coming, they just can't stop it. And Happ, time and time again, went just right at Thomas Bryant. And I get, Bryant was in foul trouble a little bit early, but for the most part, he just was better than Thomas Bryant. And Bryant came into the season with people expecting him to be one of the best players in the Big Ten, and quite frankly, he's not, so far this year at least. He's just getting overmatched on both ends of the floor, beat on defense, and really, he just does not go. He does not go to the rim very strong offensively, and he had 6 points tonight, 3 rebounds in 21 minutes. That's not what you're supposed to be getting out of a guy who's supposed to be a linchpin of your team. But Indiana, really in a rough spot. I mean, big picture, a few weeks ago, they were a top 10 team. They were a team that a lot of people probably thought had a chance to compete for a Big Ten title again, compete for another or a fairly deep NCAA tournament run. But now Indiana's 10-5, 0-2 in the Big Ten, which is not really a harbinger of success in terms of a Big Ten title race. Most teams do not start off 0-2, especially with 2 home losses. I think that's really even the worst part about it. Is Indiana starts off with 3 home games to start Big Ten play. They'll host Illinois this Saturday, and they've lost the first 2, which means you're going to have to make those games up on the road. And historically, Indiana hasn't been great on the road the past few years. It's always tough to win on the road, as they say, but they're really going to need to steal a couple if they want to get back into that Big Ten title picture, if they want to just start building a resume for a decent seed in March as well, because great, you have wins over Kansas and North Carolina, but you have really no good wins after that. You really only have bad wins after that. I mean, the thing about playing so many sub-300 teams in the non-conference is those wins actually hurt you just because you're playing those bad teams. And so Indiana really does not have much of a postseason resume at the moment. A home loss to a 500 Nebraska team doesn't look great. A loss, obviously, to Fort Wayne doesn't look great. And those 2 neutral site games against Butler and Louisville, that happens, I guess, but you'd really like to have one of those. And then losing tonight against Wisconsin, I mean, that was Indiana technically was an underdog in this game, but still, this is a building where Indiana wins games, and did not tonight, and didn't deserve to win. I mean, it's not like Wisconsin stole this game or anything like that. I mean, Wisconsin was just the better team. So you can come up with all the excuses that you want of this team being young, of guys being hurt, of the atmosphere in here maybe not being the same as usual because students are on break. You can make any kind of excuses you want to, but at this point, Indiana is just not a contender in the Big Ten at this stage. Maybe they'll get it together. Maybe they'll string together some wins and really turn things around defensively. But at the moment, there's really no reason to believe that that's going to happen unless you're an optimist, which, a lot of sports fans are. And who knows? And Tom Crean certainly is. He says that he has no doubt that Indiana's going to be able to solve these issues and improve defensively, start knocking down shots, everything like that. So we'll see if that happens moving forward. Illinois is not a terribly tough team, so certainly a chance to get back in the win column for an Indiana team that has lost 3 in a row and 4 of 6. So that's the next time we'll see it. I think it's a 5 p.m. tip here at Assembly Hall on Saturday. We'll be here, full coverage as always, but for now, thanks for watching, and we will talk to you soon.